And let me tell you something. Learning English doesn't have to be a pain in the you-know-what. Are you struggling to learn English? Do you feel like you're trying every grammar book, every app, every weird YouTube channel? No offense, but it's just not working? Well, you're not alone. So many people hit a wall with English. And it's not because they're not smart enough, it's because they haven't cracked the code. But what if I told you there are psychological tricks, like brain hacks, man, that can make learning English 10 times easier and faster? Today, I'm going to lay it all out there. 10 powerful psychology-based hacks to totally retrain your brain and master English faster than ever before. We're talking about tricking your brain into becoming an English-speaking machine. And make sure you stick around until the end, because tip number 10 is a mind-blowing secret weapon used by polyglots. Those folks who speak like a zillion languages. So buckle up, get ready for some serious English learning action, and let's dive in. Alright, so the first trick is all about working smarter, not harder. It's called the 80-20 rule, also known as the Pareto principle. And it's a game changer. This rule says that 80% of the results you get come from just 20% of your efforts. Think about it like this. You don't need to know every single word in the dictionary to speak English fluently. Nope. You just need to focus on the most common 20% of English words that make up 80% of everyday conversations. We're talking about the high-frequency hitters, people. Instead of getting lost in the dictionary trying to learn words you'll never use, focus on practical phrases you'll use all the time. Like, when was the last time you had a casual conversation and someone hit you with, "How do you do?" Never, right? Instead, they probably said, "Hey, how's it going?" Or, "What's up?" Start with these everyday phrases and words. Trust me, this one simple shift in mindset will skyrocket your fluency. It's all about working smarter, not harder, my friends. Now, let's talk about the Feynman technique. This one's named after the brilliant physicist Richard Feynman, and it's all about teaching what you learn to someone else. Yep, you heard me right. The idea is that when you teach something, you have to understand it deeply enough to explain it in simple terms. So how do you apply this to learning English? Easy peasy. Imagine you're teaching English to a 5-year-old. Yeah, a 5-year-old. They ask the tough questions, right? Like, what does confused mean? You can't just give them a dictionary definition. You gotta break it down, give examples, maybe even act it out. And that, my friends, is where the magic happens. By explaining it to someone else, you force your brain to really understand and internalize the language. Plus, it's way more fun than just staring at flashcards. So find a friend, a pet, a rubber ducky, whatever works, and start teaching. Okay, are you ready for a trick that's straight out of Sherlock Holmes? It's called the Mind Palace technique, and it's all about creating crazy, memorable images to remember new words. Here's how it works. Let's say you're trying to remember the word apple. Instead of just repeating apple, 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 which gets boring fast, try this. Picture a giant, talking apple, wearing a monocle, dancing on your kitchen table, singing opera. Sounds ridiculous, right? That's the point. Our brains love weird and wacky stuff, so the more outlandish the image, the better you'll remember the word. So get creative, unleash your inner child, and turn your brain into a memory palace filled with unforgettable English vocabulary. Alright, this next one is all about surrounding yourself with the language you want to learn. It's called the immersion effect, and it's like hitting the fast-forward button on your English fluency. Think of it like this. You want to learn how to swim. You gotta jump in the pool, right? Same goes for English. Change your environment to be surrounded by English as much as possible. And no, you don't need to move to England tomorrow. Start simple. Change your phone's language to English, listen to English podcasts while you walk the dog, watch English movies with subtitles. The more you immerse yourself, the more natural the language will become. It's like osmosis, baby. You'll be surprised how quickly your brain starts picking up new words and phrases just by being exposed to them regularly. Have you ever wanted to sound exactly like a native English speaker? Well, with the shadowing technique, you can get pretty darn close. This technique is all about mimicking native speakers, like you're their shadow, get it? Find a video or audio clip of a native English speaker. I'm talking podcasts, audiobooks, even those super motivational YouTube videos. You choose. Now here's the fun part. Listen to a short sentence or phrase and then repeat it out loud, trying your best to match their pronunciation, intonation, and even their energy. It might feel a little strange at first, like you're doing a weird parrot impression, but trust me, this is like a Jedi mind trick for your pronunciation and fluency. By mimicking native speakers, you're training your mouth and brain to produce the sounds of English more naturally. Okay, let's be real for a minute. Learning a new language takes effort, and sometimes you just need a little motivation to keep going, am I right? That's where the reward system comes in. This is all about tricking your brain into craving more English by associating it with positive reinforcement. Think of it like training a puppy. Every time they do something good, you give them a treat, and boom, they're hooked. So, how do you apply this to learning English? Simple. Set realistic goals for yourself and then celebrate each victory, no matter how small. Did you learn 10 new words today? Treat yourself to a piece of chocolate. Did you finally nail that tricky grammar rule? Time for a guilt-free Netflix episode. By rewarding yourself, you create a positive feedback loop that keeps you motivated and excited to learn more. Plus, who doesn't love a little reward? It's a win-win. All right, let's talk about that pesky little problem we all have. Forgetting things. It's natural, but luckily, there's a powerful technique called spaced repetition, or, as I like to call it, the forget and repeat technique. This technique is based on the idea that our brains are more likely to remember something if we review it at increasing intervals. It's all about outsmarting your forgetful brain. Here's the basic idea. Let's say you learn a new word today. Review it again tomorrow, then maybe 2 days later, then a week later. See the pattern? By spacing out your review sessions, you force your brain to work harder to recall the information, which actually makes it stick better in the long run. It's like building a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. So ditch the cramming and embrace the power of spaced repetition. Now, let's talk about a technique that will make learning English feel like building with Legos. It's called chunking, and it's all about breaking down large amounts of information into smaller, more manageable chunks. Just like building with those awesome plastic bricks. Instead of trying to memorize a jumbled mess of words, learn phrases and groups of words that naturally go together. Think of it like this. When you read a sentence, you don't read it one letter at a time, right? You read it in chunks of words and phrases. So, instead of learning go, eat, sleep as separate words, learn them as a chunk. I'm going to eat before I go to sleep. See? It instantly makes more sense. It's easier to remember, and you're learning how English actually works in the real world. Who doesn't love music? It's a universal language, and it's a powerful tool for learning English too. Using music to learn English isn't just fun, it's like a super highway to fluency. Here's how to make it work for you. Choose a catchy English song that you enjoy. Something with clear lyrics, maybe not heavy metal, you know. Now, listen to the song a few times and try to follow along with the lyrics. Once you've got a feel for the song, try singing along. Don't worry about hitting the high notes or anything, just focus on pronouncing the words correctly and getting the rhythm of the language. You'll be surprised how quickly you pick up new words and phrases when they're set to a catchy tune. Okay, we've arrived at the final and most powerful trick. The one used by polyglots all over the world, and it's surprisingly simple. Start speaking English from day one. Yep, you heard that right. The biggest roadblock to fluency is often fear. The fear of making mistakes, the fear of sounding silly. But here's the secret. Everyone makes mistakes when they're learning. It's how we learn. So embrace those mistakes. The sooner you start speaking, the faster you'll overcome that fear and start to see real progress. Don't wait until you feel ready, because guess what? You'll never feel completely ready. Start with basic sentences. Find language exchange partners online. Even talk to yourself in the mirror. The key is to get comfortable with the sound of your own voice speaking English. Trust me, this is the ultimate shortcut to fluency. Boom! There you have it, my friends. 10 psychological tricks to turbocharge your English learning. Now that you've got these powerful tools in your arsenal, it's time to take action. Don't just watch this video and forget about it. I want you to commit right now. Which trick are you most excited to try first? Let me know in the comments below. And hey, while you're at it, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel for more awesome English learning tips, and share this video with your friends who are ready to level up their English game. Remember, learning English should be fun and rewarding. So keep practicing, stay positive, and I'll see you in the next video. Let's make English learning easy and fun together.
Stay tuned with Joban International.